what can I show you guys? Because I know we've been having a lot of issues with people understanding shading, how the brushes work. Um, I know everybody's still kind of new, so there's also a lot of not really understanding how you can manipulate shapes and really get the kind of shapes you're looking for with dresses and blouses and everything. So um, I can go over some of the basics. I know a lot of the people who've been making clothes for a long time know the basics. But yeah, the straps on shoes. Yeah, we can do all of that. So um, okay, great. So this should work out. Yes, hopefully we can also have it available to rewatch later. Um, Maybe I'll just start with I'm going to start with some basics, and then we can move on to the straps on shoes and stuff. Um, and I'm also sorry. I had a really bad cold a couple of weeks ago, and I still have this little cough, and it's going to be annoying as hell, and I'm really sorry. Uh, but them's the breaks. Them's the breaks. And I'm going to stream again through the weekend a little bit here and there. So so just so you all know, I'll be popping in. Now that I know how to do this, it took me forever to figure out how to do this. I actually have to stream through another software. Anyway, but I finally figured it out. So this should really help. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll set up some events so people can plan it. This is sort of like a spontaneous drop in because I need to test this out. So okay. So we all are familiar with the evil default blue. I'm also going to be minimizing some of the comments just because it's hard to have two. I don't have two monitors, which I need to get. Okay. So whenever I get to the default blue stuff, one of the first things I do is I go down to the model and I always turn off the bra. This means that you won't have any, see that pesky black strap? I always like to turn that off. And then I like to get the neckline kind of already, in the default shape that I might use. Think about, do I want a thicker waist, medium kind of pinched waist? This one is harder to manipulate later. And then, how big, how small, whatever. And I'm just going to leave the basic sleeve shape here. So I'm going to go over, I think, it is complicated. It is complicated. I'm hopefully by seeing it and having someone talk, hopefully it'll make a little bit make sense. But I mean, so you see I'm on the very basic shape, right? Something that I think a lot of the beginning people are struggling with is how do you manipulate the shape? How do you do it? So there are these things called, the points and lines. I'm gonna cough. Sorry, guys. So the points and lines are your anchor shape points. They have default shapes, but these shapes can be changed, and they give way to different ways to manipulate them. Something that I didn't even know, Kim was the one that taught me this. You can delete them. You can add new points. If you're like, oh man, I really want to have like this go here. Ooh, lady bits. But then look at how you're going to get it. Well, then you just add another line. You know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of ways to get that shape, and then you look here at the orange line. Which way am I at here? Actually, let me delete that. Add that. So you can add these points and lines, and then you just want to be looking for these little squares, and then you can, manipulate the shape, So you're not locked in. Like whenever you see a default shape like this, you're not locked into it, but you have to understand that these are like anchor points, telling the program where to paint the fabric, where to add color, all that kind of good stuff. But they can, they can be moved. If you want if you want a really nice, straight, sharp line, then, go up here and make sure this is selected. If you need a loosey-goosey line, this one's really good. This one's really good for like, when you're doing edges of skirts and stuff, because it's got this really beautiful kind of curve that's easier to manipulate. The only points that can't be moved or taken out are these ones with the black dot in it. But you can stack them. So if you really want the neckline to, to really be at the sleeve, you just, move them over. Okay. So I think that's something that is not, people aren't totally, understanding how those points and lines work. And it took us a long time to figure it out as well. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about shadows today. I just want to go over a couple things. We're going to get the shape of the dress going first. So again, like if you're like, wow, that line, I can't move that line, just, go up and double check that you've got your settings correctly. Okay? All right. And then same thing for down here. Say we want to have like and that's another thing. If you're not sure like what the heck is going on, hide your model parts. Go in and use these little eyeballs. Turn parts off so that you can see other parts, okay? So now I can see for sure, like, okay, the hip line is right here. And then again, another trick is like if you want to make sure you're really in alignment with the body, you can't really see, then go to fabric and turn down the opacity of the color so that you can get that alignment that you need. Like you want to be able to see what you're doing, so see it, get it going. And this is also, really helpful kind of basic stuff. And then once you kind of have it in place, then just turn it back on. Because this tool, and I've had these conversations in many other times with in the Discord with people that, and I'm going to use a bad word here, so I don't want to offend anybody, but this tool should be your bitch. Like this tool shouldn't be bossing you around. You should be bossing this tool around. And there are so many ways to kind of like, I know in the beginning it feels really overwhelming and intimidating, but you have to really think about this. Like when you open up a dress shape, don't feel locked into that shape. Like be really fluid in your mind to achieve it. And there's lots of tips and tricks I can show you how to achieve that shape. Because you can but I'm not going to get into it because right now I want to stay focused on trying to get to shading. But don't be intimidated by points and lines. Sorry for the cough. Don't feel like you have to just stay stuck into that shape. Like just don't. A lot of it just comes with, time and information, which we have time, and I'm trying to get you this information. Okay, so say we had this basic dress, and now we want to make a color. I'm gonna just pick. I'll do green. Why the hell not? I'm gonna do green. So one thing I'll do is I'll go into fabric. I'll go into this color wheel. I want to pick a green that we can do nice shadows and highlights on. So once I've picked the green color that I kind of like, I'm going to go and use the clone style tool. I'm going to pick this little paintbrush and I'm just going to tap the torso name. And this is a quick way. And if you want to make sure you don't get that default blue, you know, just go down the list. Oh, neckline back, bottom back, lower sleeve, left upper sleeve, left sleeve back. And then to triple check that you've gotten all your blue, hide your model so you just see the garment. Okay? All right? So now we have sort of a basic green dress. And as you can see, this, you can see the outlines, you know, in the seams here really bad. That's also happening a lot. You can fix that. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your outline in your layer. You're going to do skirt and torso because this is where the lines are. And you can either change the color, you know, so it's more like matching the color you already have, and then turn down the opacity so it's kind of barely there. And then you're going to just take that over to the torso. And then if you don't want to see that outline, it's good to have a little outline, but you can also just turn the opacity down even more. See, the line is going away. So, and then you can just copy that again, copy that over to your sleeves. Just copy it everywhere. Okay. Now it's looking more cohesive. It's still there a little bit. We have some tips and tricks with that later. Okay, don't worry about that. Okay, so moving on. Currently the garment is in the default shadows. There's a shadow layer right here. Okay. And there's two things you can do that are more fun. And at this point, you need to kind of ask yourself too, like, is this the green I want? And you can see the default shadow right now really changes the dynamic of the color and kind of the shape of the dress. So you could also just turn the opacity down. And remember, we're on the skirt layer here. And I'm going to hide, I want to be really focused on this torso. So I'm going to hide that. Or I mean the skirt, sorry. So anyway, so I can turn it, look at the color change. Look, here's that max shadow. And the color change is really significant if I change it. Something that like Paula does and a few other people like to do is they like to go in and you can actually change the color of the shadow. And that can actually dramatically kind of hue shift and change quite a lot in your garment as well. That's always kind of fun if you're trying to go for something unique and different. And again, you know, different variations of opacity, you know, dynamically change, you know, your garment. So you can play with, that's one way to play with shading, okay? But what we keep talking about over and over and over again is that the default shadows in this tool suck. They really suck. There's no way to like kind of do like a color burn. There's no way to really truly achieve kind of the levels that the pocket styler artists have. And it's just it's just not great. And so what we have learned is to basically turn the shadow layer completely down and ignore it. So what we do a lot of the times, and we'll do that sometimes, and again with glare is your highlight color. See, you can also, same principles apply for shadows and glare, okay? But well, a lot of like Juniper and me and Fudzy and Joe, I mean, and Dee Dee, like we all kind of just have learned to kind of ignore this. and paint our own shadows. So I'll kind of show you about that. But if you're feeling intimidated by that and you just kind of want to play around with at least this, it's super fun. But once I've kind of gotten the green that I want, I've fixed my outline layer, I've turned down shadow and glare. Again, I can just go up here and turn off, I'll just spread this goodness around everywhere. So that now I have a garment that has no shadows on it, and I'm going to apply it. Okay? Now I'm controlling the dress, and I'm going to control the shadows. There is a learning curve to this process, but it's worth it. It's worth putting the time and the energy into figuring this out. And if you watch this live later, or you go back to this lesson, I think it'll make a lot more sense the more you watch it. It's basically like if you've done any kind of coloring book shading with colored pencils, or any kind of painting with any kind of medium, it's very much the same principles of color theory and color application as you would there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in the torso. I'm going to hide the sleeve again because I really want to focus. Oh, that looks funky. Let's just get rid of that too. Okay. I really want to just focus on this dress. Now there is a way to just do the whole garment at once, but you lose control. You lose control of your garment when you do that. If you know you're just going to do a fast and easy dress, whatever, go for it. But it's really better for you, especially when you're first learning, to stick with some core basics. So what I do is I go down here, so I'm in my skirt, I'm going down to my brush right here, okay? You want to make at least 3 new brushes, okay? So make new. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag it up above glare and shadow and the fabric, okay? Because we're going to be painting on top of this core green color, so we want it above the fabric and not below. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go over here to this brush tool, and you're going to select this brush that has the kind of blurred edges here. Okay. And then you can adjust, this one here is the size of the brush. Okay. Actually, let me just get here's another really important thing. So you see how in glare and shadow you have this color wheel that showed up? There's something kind of funny in this tool where you absolutely must pick from here, right here, down in here. You got to pick your color from here. If you pick this, if you're like, oh, red, I don't want red, I want green, and then you go over here and you pick these colors in here and then you paint, it's going to dynamically change this to color overlay. And you don't want that for various reasons, which I'll get into later. So anyway, so when you go to your brush, you've made your new brushes, you're going to paint your first shadow layer. You're going to want to start here, and then now you can go over here and you're going to get like a darker green. You don't want black. Shadows, good shadows in clothing are not black. They're not black. It's basic color theory. It's not black. It's always going to be a color within the color range, or like a tertiary opposite color to get, and I'll explain that later, but let's just go back to green. So we're going to not do black, we're going to use the dark green. Now, so we're going to have the different size, right? See how it's kind of fuzzy there? Hardness just means, like, see how if I go to hardness 100, I've lost the fuzzy edge. So it's softness, it's like soft and hard. So we want it to be very soft. Spacing just means, do you want it to be with no little dots, like no, like even if spacing's here, it's kind of weird. See how it's kind of choppy? We don't want that. So I always go in and I turn spacing down to 5 instead. I don't know why they have 5 instead of 0, but now it's nice and smooth, see? Now the critical detail, this is permanently in this tool, forever in this tool. Your ownership of the paintbrush lies in opacity and flow. Okay? Opacity means like how light and how dark you want this tool, right? Okay? So it's got different degrees. So if you're like, I don't know, I don't want it to be that dark, well, change your opacity, okay? Flow means how much. So opacity is like what quantity of paint do you want on your paintbrush? And flow is how much. Do you want like a lot at the beginning? Do you want a little bit? So you're going to always go in here and change how much paint you have, because it's a shadow. We're going to go really small layers. And how thick do you want it to be, okay? So now when I go in, I've got a really soft, gentle shadow. And it's so much more dynamic and interesting than the black and the default. And if you're like, well, that's interesting, but I don't really know where shadows go. I don't know how to do it. Well, your model shows you in her body. Do you see how there's bright lights here? There's dark lights here. This is very bright. This is very bright. Your model is already showing you placement of values, okay? And it's really important that you pay attention to that. So if you just even follow like the leg and go up, it's gonna be darker here. There's some darkness like in this value here, okay? And then same thing here, you're going to go up to the torso now. You're going to make your 3 brushes. You always want 3 for reasons. And you have to do this first. Don't just like go and brush. Like you'll regret your life so hard. So many garments I've messed up. Okay. And again, if you're not really sure what to do, again, ooh, boobies. So anyway, if you're not really sure what to do, look at the model. There's a shadow that comes down here. There's a shadow here, a little bit here, and then don't worry about the torso too much right now, okay? So, oh gosh, I haven't even checked the comments in a long time. Okay. Okay. Let me go back. So then you're going to go back to your brush 1, because I see a little pocket right here. Okay. Again, I'm really honestly, I'm not doing anything that's like super advanced. This is literally just using a default brush that's provided in the tool. Using opacity and flow, all that good stuff. Okay. And then I want to change colors now. And I want to bring in some other greens and highlights in here to kind of change, because this is calling to me right in this section here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a new brush. Don't do it all on the same brush, because like if you have to go back and erase anything here later, or like, look, this is going up too high right here. So I want to go to my eraser. Again, I can just turn down spacing, make it a little softer. Again, I can control the opacity and the flow of the eraser, which almost becomes its own little tool. And I can kind of change that a bit. Okay. But like if I had started to paint my highlight colors on the same brush, then when I had to go in and adjust this, this in any way, I would have been totally in the weeds. So anytime you do any kind of color stuff on your garments, always make sure they're on their own brushes. Okay? And you can merge them later, which I'll talk about later. So anyway, so I want to switch it up, and I want to get like a brighter highlight. I'll even switch to a different, like a little bit of a brighter color. I'm just going to test it with this opacity and flow. Let's see, I'm at, oh yeah, see, that's not bad. Kind of adding some, it's a little bit, it's the brightness that I want, but it's almost a bit too much. What I can do is I can either go in and erase, I can just kind of overdo it, and I can either go in and erase it, or you could even just go into the brush, like if you click on the brush, you can actually adjust the opacity here, and maybe you liked the painting you did, but you don't want it to be so bright. So you could actually kind of just adjust it here. So you don't, you know, you can save some time. And then always preview your look. It's kind of looking a little inconsistent right there for some reason. Okay. And again, I might want to just also double check. There's usually a highlight, you know, kind of right here near her belly. I've got the hip, you know, the hip line I'm following. The lines down here. Okay. Yeah, the difference of painting your shadows is significant. It's significant and it's important. Now, another thing that I might do, if I like these two colors as it is, and I kind of just want it to be just a little bit darker in a couple of these places here, your go-to should not be to just change the opacity and flow and make your garment darker. Like, you know, I'm just going to add some more dark. I mean, yeah, that's okay. But you're kind of just almost making it muddier sometimes with these colors. So sometimes what you might want to do is, again, like I said, go to those, it's kind of like a color theory thing where if you go to a different color in the color wheel, it actually becomes a little bit more vibrant of a shadow. Because again, I don't want to have a muddied shadow. I want to have, you know, kind of dynamic shadow so that the garment does have, you know, some movement. Okay. Now the other thing, and this is what I do, I know a lot of people do this and not do this at their own artistic discretion, which is fine. But I like to kind of follow what I've seen in the pocket styler garments and on the model itself. Like you'll see, you see this highlight here along her leg. So when you have objects that have a light source, especially in pocket styler, a lot of the times and you can see from the way that they've painted this model that there's a light source coming in this way, highlighting the edges of the garments. And I just am addicted to this. And again, I made a new brush because I want it to be on its own. But I go up to like here, and I like to just go on the very edge of my, even with a shadow being there. That's a little bit big. I can go back and erase it. Also, don't feel like, you know, it has to be perfect. But again, you can already see how it's changing the aliveness of the fabric of the garment. Because I'm sort of, yeah, see? Already it's changed it. Okay? It just makes a difference. It makes a difference. So, again, sorry for the cough. So we got to repeat this now on the torso. No big deal. I'm actually going to start in brush 2 since I know. Again, a lot of these settings stay the same. when you go, remember to pick your color here first. And I already know that this shadow is going to be coming down here a bit more. And then there's different ways to do the bust shadows, but they are extremely important. Some people like to just do highlights on the very tops of the chest area here. Some people really like to do, again, change your opacity and flow if you feel like it's getting too dark. And then you can also go back with your erasers. Don't put your shadows in and deal with it later. Like, don't try to get your shadow, it'll be darker than you want. So some people like to go in and be very specific, like there's a dark, it's dark there, so it should be here, right? Obviously there was some darkness here. There's a little bit of shadow here. And then, like, since I wasn't a big fan of, like, you can just go in and shape it with the eraser. Okay. You can go in and loosen it up. Okay. And then go back to your brush. We're going to put the highlights on the top one. Get that highlight color. Okay, and you just go in and paint it here. See, already you can see some changes. Now, I don't really love, this is too dark here. It's really good just to always start with like a basic shape, and then go in, a basic placement of where you see your shadows, and then go back in. You can bring it up a bit so there's some shadow under here, so it's more realistic. Go back and look at it from afar, because it really sort of changes the shape. And then what I do, my little, signature, whatever, is that I really prefer to, and I've seen this a lot in the pocket styler garments, is I prefer to have a highlight under the kind of bottom. See? It's like a trick of light, sort of, where it kind of tricks it into kind of when I didn't put that on. So again, like, I didn't put that on. I messed up because I didn't. Oh wait, does that? I'm on brush one. The brushes, managing your brushes is literally no joke. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. Okay, I need to go way lighter. So again, your brush ownership. The magic is all in opacity and flow. Everything's in opacity and flow. It's a little off center, whatever, I don't care. Okay. So again, my shadows and my highlights, everything's way more dynamic than the default. And then I'm going to add my little glow layer on the edge, showing light reflection. And this is really bothering me because this is all off right here. It takes practice. Takes time. That's a real hot mess, but I don't know if I want to be bothered with it right now. And again, I should have been more careful with that. Where the hell did I paint that? Sometimes it's hard to remember where your paint layers are. Oh, whatever. Oh my goodness gracious. Something is funky on that side. Whatever. Okay. All right. And then now we're going to move on to our sleeve. And again, your model, the sleeves are really tricky, but in a way kind of not at the same time. Because again, the model's telling you, oh look, there's a highlight right down the middle. Oh hey, there's a shadow on each side. You know, when in doubt, refer to your model's body if you can't remember what you're doing. Again, sorry for the cough. Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna go a little extra bright here, and then I'll deal with it later. And then brush 2. Just always have it on your mind to make your brushes. Brushes, brushes, brushes. Okay. Let's see here. Sorry, I kind of know where her shadows are because of a lot of time making stuff. And then also sometimes this really bugs me. I don't know what the hell, but it's actually not really. I like to move it, up. I'm not really making this a very dynamic shape because it would be too much time to paint for what I'm just trying to show you guys. But, there is a little bit of a highlight on her shoulder. I don't know if you could see that. Just like kind of right here, there's a little bit of extra. So sometimes I like to, make sure that's on. I'm going to go to brush 2. Again, I kind of want to match the darkness of what's at the torso too, so I might make this a little extra dark. And then also, again, you see how I just kind of just piled on the dark green and it got darker, but if I want to kind of match, have it be more of a dynamic, darker shadow that's kind of rich without becoming too muddied, I might go in and now grab this, our tertiary color. In the group under featured or actually, I think like albums or something, I saved a ton of color theory, like images that show stuff. And then in the shading YouTube video that I have linked, in featured, there's also she goes over basic color theory stuff for this. So I think it's worth it for y'all to get that information, because it could really make or break your garment sometimes. Plus it's fun. I mean, it's color mixing. So again, okay, I've created, look at my shadows are just so significantly different than if I had just stuck with the default shadows. It really makes a big difference. I don't know what brush I'm on, but that's okay. whatever. Okay. So when it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I think where people are at with their frustration. I'm using a mouse. I don't have a tablet. This is all my mouse. So there are six brushes. Okay. There's 6 brushes you can have. And what you can do is, like, once you have sorry, I was just going through some of the live comments. So once you kind of have some, oh, wow, that's weird. Okay. What is that? Oh, I see. Once you have your because you might want to add, so we can add some texture to this too. So, once you have your shadows and highlights painted on, which you could do at the end of the garment. I mean, there's nothing that says you got to do it like immediately. You can right click, or not right click, but just click on the 3 dots, and it'll say merge, and then you just merge these down, and then now it's one brush, one shadow brush. But don't do that until like the very, very end, okay? Now, what if you wanted to add some pattern to this, right? I think people are struggling with understanding all of the amazing things that you can do with patterns. I think it's such an underused, amazing tool, and it's how I've been getting a lot more dynamic textures in my garments. And so I'll teach you some tips and tricks with this, okay? Let's go down to the skirt, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to merge these brushes because you want to be using texture as a brush. Oh, sorry for my cat. Okay. Let me pick a pattern because I don't love a lot of these. Let's see. Well, I could just use this. Okay. So the default is significantly large. Okay. And I don't want that. So for anybody who's not really used the pattern tool, I also hate that green. So I'm going to get, I do want it to be a lighter colored green, but instead of going to white, or something here, I'll just keep it as kind of this bright color, but I'll just change the opacity down. Okay. And then I'm going to click on the 3 dots, and I'm going to hit transform. And then you get this little square box. And the yellow dots kind of squish it, change the shape, And then obviously this makes it bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. This rotates. So like if you, had a certain placement direction or whatever, there's so many things you can do in here. What I love to do is go a little bit crazy. And so if I want to have more of like, there's so many things you can do. Like say now I wanted to have this be part of my texture of my garment. I can, because like if you go over here to fabric, it's so muddied. Again, I've lost control of my color. I've lost control of everything. It's actually quite horrible. But if I go over here to these weird little patterns and hit transform, all of a sudden you know, I've got very interesting, crazy things I can do. And then, you know, different color values are going to do. And again, if you lose it, just go to transform, grab your stuff. Now it's a banana. Now it's not a banana. Now it's a stripe. Now it's, you know, something funky. Now it's whatever the hell you want it. You know, I mean, there's just so many things you can be doing. So that's how I've been doing a lot of my stuff. And then one thing I found with the lemons is it almost kind of can look like kind of like a base for sequins in a way. I mean, it's really interesting. Again, so, you know, go in and, you know, change your stuff. Don't be afraid to be crazy. You get some really wild and fun stuff with different kinds of textures and, you know, whatever. I mean, that's interesting. I think that's really interesting. I don't know. I mean, there's just so much you can do, right? And this is all free. So that's like when people say, you know, that they can't, you know. Yeah. The pattern trick is really fun. It's what I've been doing. Like, let me see if I can show the screen here. Ugh. Where was it? Those jackets that I did for that one boat event. They have so much, oh, even this one. No, kitty. No, I'm busy. My cat. So again, so a lot of this texture was, you know, taking, I mean, there's a lot of different, like that circle shape right there was this, I don't know, one of these with, oh yeah, this one with the male female symbol, you know. So once you get into the garment, you can just really see, you know, we can have just endless fabric opportunities, just endless. If you go ahead and you know, again, this is the part of like me saying, you know, make this tool yours. Like don't be intimidated by the tool. The tool is yours to manipulate, yours to have fun. Now, I do kind of like that on there. One thing you can do now, it did really change though my shadows and my highlights, right? Because look at it without it, you know. Now look at it with it. It just changed some of the shapes. Anyway, so but you can use the cloning tool at this point, and now I can add it, you know, everywhere. I don't know why it's kind of changing some of that. We're not going to worry about it right now. Okay. Now I'm going to add more, okay? So we have a default pattern, right? What you're going to do is you're going to copy that pattern as a brush. This is why it's important. We wanted to, you know, collapse our highlight brushes. We didn't need them. Copy that as brush. Go everywhere that you just put the brush or put the pattern. Copy as brush. Oh, I didn't do the lower sleeve. Oh, okay. Copy as brush. Okay. Copy as brush. Okay. Now I want to do another pattern. I want this new pattern to be on top of the one I just did. So now you can go back to pattern, And you can you can go in now, transform. Okay. You can do whatever, And the reason why we wanted to copy that original one as a brush is because now you can just quickly go to everywhere and just copy. I mean, it's a bit of a pain, but I mean the real is worth it in the long run. Okay, right. So now I've gotten something kind of fun and cool. It's unique. Not everybody's gonna have it. Okay. Now, I'm just gonna preview it. Cool, whatever. Okay. So now I want to address this area here. I want to make it kind of fun, kind of interesting. I want to have, I want to use some of these decor items. So a lot of you know who have been the trick apply to wigs. I don't know that question. Wigs are their own beast. I'll do wigs another day. Wigs are yeah, my quote. I don't want to talk about wigs right now. Wigs are a hot nightmare, and I'm not talking about it right now because it's too advanced. I could do a wigs tutorial another day. But the fact of the matter with the wigs is Pocket Styler, Nordcurrent has repeatedly told us they don't want it. They don't want us doing it. I know it's such a dumb thing, but they don't want us to do it because they don't consider it inappropriate. They don't have an appropriate category for hair yet. It's going against how they're trying to, organize the shop, which is a hot mess. That's why the people who did the hair got the longer band. I mean, they're coming down harder and harder, but yeah, I can do fur again. There's a lot of things I can show you guys. Okay, so in the tutorials that we have in the tips and tricks, and a lot of the times it comes up, a lot of the advanced people know about it's called the invisible detail. Because if you try to, let me see if am I in the torso? When in doubt, make sure you're in the right layer. Look, it's here in items. I hope you can drag your items up, because I don't want this item to be stuck underneath all the painting I did and stuff. Anyway, look. Why is this happening to me? Why is that? Because you're telling this detail to go onto this torso, okay? You're not telling it to go in the empty space. You're telling it to go on the torso, so it's doing its job. It's going on the torso. We don't want it to be on the torso. We want it floating above the torso. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up here, and you're going to go to details. And this basically creates, I don't know, I don't have the answer to why it exists the way it does. But what it does do is it gives you a new, it becomes its own layer in the layers of the garment. And it's sitting above the torso. So it's sitting on top of it. So what I like to do is I like to stretch this out as stretch it out. Okay. I like to stretch it out as far as I can get it to the border. You can see there's an edge there, right? And then I'm gonna turn off everything. I'm making this invisible. Turning off the outline, the shadow, the glare, the fabric, the texture, everything. And now, look, it's invisible. Woo! It's an invisible detail. But what it is you got to think of it kind of like as a blank canvas. And so now we can go in. We want to be fancy with our details, you know. Ooh, let's give her a little gold here. I obviously want that to be green, maybe not that dark, and you know, maybe I want this to be green too. Okay. Oh, I want another one of these, but I don't want to make it again, so I'm going to duplicate it. Ooh. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to change it around. And now I've got it here. Okay. Right? Looks cool, right? You know what would be even freaking better is if I added some shadows. So I want to make a new brush. I'm going to put it underneath the item. I'm going to go to brush. Again, the fuzzy one is your friend. Turn down opacity and flow. I don't want any spacing. Size is a little bit there. But I'm going to go down to this dark color. I'm going to paint. Actually, wait. Sorry. Yes, that's exactly what you want to do, but you want to do it on the torso. My bad. It happens. It happens. I forget my words. Okay. Yes. Yes. Because it's actually not on that invisible layer. It's underneath it. Oh, look at that. Look at how fancy. This is great because now I can actually go in and give this a little bit of shadow, which I kind of needed to do. And then it's not going to go like under here, which is good. You don't want it to. But now it's even, well, it's even standing out even more. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay. I'm going to soften this a bit because there's going to be some fabric tension here, right? But it's not going to be like in your face. There. That's better. Okay. Now, I want to do something kind of like with the edge of this torso. But if I was to paint, like, I could paint here, but I can't paint here, right? It's because you need to be on that layer that's on top of it. I'm going to make a new brush because I want this to be separate from all of this. I'm going to change the size of this down. I'm going to soften this. I'm going to do this just a little bit. Oh, I'm going to cough. I get up in here. I'm just going to kind of drag this down. Woo. It's kind of a hot mess, but that's all right. We don't care. We're just playing. No big deal. No big deal. Can't totally see it. I know it's there. I like it. Another thing you can do is you can go up here to the top brush, make the spacing into little dots. Look at those cute little dots. Looks like pearls and kinds of fun stuff that we do, which is how we do it. Usually this is about a 4 or 3. Look, that's too close together. Make that spacing. And then look, you don't have to paint every single freaking little dot, which is really nice. You can just drag it up and around. Okay? I don't like that, but you get what I'm saying, right? Excuse me. And then I get fancy with my dots. Like, I'm not even going to go in, but I even shade my dots. That's how crazy I get. I get really crazy with it. Okay. Now my dress is just more dynamic and interesting, right? Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions over just what I've gone? Do you guys see? Do you have questions about the shadows again, or kind of understand a bit why it's fun and important to be, owning your shadows instead of having the Facebook, or not the Facebook, but the Studio Tool shadows, in there. I don't know. I think that's good. I think that's good for this first live. I'll do more lives. We'll go over fur, and I know you want to do the straps. The straps are a combination of you kind of managing points and lines, and then I'm not going to get into it right now, but let me actually pull up an old project of mine. That might just help real quick. Oh, so if you want, you can just turn the outline completely down so there's no outline whatsoever. And then there's a way you can use one of those invisible details to to cover it. I think it's saved in tips and tricks. So if you want to check out tips and tricks, I think there's a post that I think it was like Heather Gilmore or someone posted something about it. What was I going to show you? I was going to show you something. I completely am spacing it out. Oh, yeah. The lie was, yeah. I'm completely spacing out. I was going to show you. Oh, the straps of the shoes. Oh my God. These ones were a pain in the ass. What strap? You mean like this, like these kinds of straps? Or I think do I still have my original shoes? Oh, I do. Oh, thank God, because, okay. Do you mean like these kinds of, which stripes are you talking about? Oh, straps. Well, there's two ways you can do it. There's so what I did with these is I went down to details, and I used this. In the details here, there's this strap. And because it has points and lines, you can just manipulate it into your shoe. However you want. And the reason why I like having it be on its own detail is because then you can, I'm going to get rid of this. Again, I'm going to get rid of that dot because we don't need that. And then I'll go into Pocket. I'm going to delete the edges because I don't need that. I'm also going to go into, it had a bit of a fabric texture. I'm going to get rid of that. And then now I can make it, I can make it whatever color I want. And then again, make new brushes. Look at look at where, and then the outline could be something more fun. It could be, again, access the outline color down here. Don't just click on here. Oh wait, am I in outline? Well, you might have to go to here, whatever. Okay. So I'm going to go down to brush. I hate this sort of dash thing. So then I've got I might even just, and too much paint. Too hard, too much. Might just go in here. Actually, let's just keep it real. I'll just do a lighter version of this. Oh, I'm in the wrong brush. If anything ever looks weird or funky, just make sure you're in the right brush. Okay. And then look at right here on the foot, there's a natural highlight that's showing you where to put your highlight. Okay? That matches where she's at. I can add a little bit of a shadow here. Okay? Boom. Strap. That's one way. That is one way to do a strap. Okay? Yeah, sorry, Sabrina. I don't, unfortunately, I'm very American, which is I don't speak any other languages, unfortunately. So that's one way to do straps, but also like, This is a great example of what I'm trying to say, where you can own the tool. Don't forget you can own, you own the points and lines. This is your tool. See, I like the way this curve is going, but I kind of need it to change right here. Right? And I like that, but I need it to be just a little bit more. A little bit here. Right? Now, what I could do is I could go down to these details. I mean, I use this a lot because it was available, but I mean, you can achieve the same, you don't have to just take that strap. You can achieve the same thing with this shape. It might even be easier because it doesn't have that edge on it. I just remember when I was beginning, I didn't totally understand these red shapes that well, but now I do. But just remember, like, there's so many things you can do. Like, there's so many things you can do. Think of this like taffy that you could stretch and pull, right? Just get in here and make it yours. Don't feel like what you see is what you get. The only limitations is knowledge of the tool and how to manipulate, how to get that, right? So, everybody loves a pink shoe, right? I'm going to turn off shadows. I'm going to turn off glare. I don't even know what the outline is. Is it black? Is it blue? I'm going to make it a bit dark. Then you can just... Excuse me, so sorry. You can just copy that. Hey, and then another really nice thing to do is copy it. I know people are kind of upset right now that the shoes have to be done individually, but them's the breaks. I don't know what to say. One thing I like to do is before I get once I get the basic shape of the shoe that I like, before I really get into coloring and adding details, it's kind of better to go back in like right now and get the shape the way you want it. Sorry for coughing so much. Yes, Sabrina, it might not be. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going through some comments really quick. Okay, I'm kind of going overboard here. This is more than I had really planned on for today, so I'll just finish this real quick. But anyway, so you can just see. I mean, you can do so much with, you know, just add these details. I'm just gonna leave that there for later because I don't want to deal with it right now. But if I was gonna finish, you know, adding straps, you know, up here. I could just, again, it's not really, oh, if you ever get that, just click out of it, unless it's purposeful, which you can watch a tutorial for what that does. It's in the tool tutorial. I want this isn't going to be curved enough. I might want to switch it to this one to be able to get more of a dynamic shape. Just go worry about that later. Okay. Yeah. So those are straps. That's how you get straps. Yeah. Okay. So I think I've done some basics. Just recovering some shadows, some playing around. These are where all your videos are. Points and lines. If you want to go back and review points and lines, I mean, these videos show you everything, and then
adjusting the lines of an item and then changing.
Put on your closed captions, okay? And you can also go to settings. Look at hit subtitles. Hit on. Pick your language, right? Pick Italian. You know,
changing its silhouette will revert the adjustment.
Everything's here in your language. Just, you know, figure it out. Watch the videos and learn. And you guys will be set. And I'll do another live. I'll do more lives this weekend. We'll go over, I can go over sequins and fur and more shape manipulation. There's some other tips and tricks for shape manipulation and everything like that. Okay. So I'll end the live video. I don't know if it's going to save it. I hope it does. I have no idea. I don't know what I put the settings as. I've never done this before, so it's all new. but I will go over it again. Yeah. The faux fur one, we have some. It's not hard. Once you see it, you'll know it. And we'll go over that this weekend for sure. But so I'm gonna end the live now. I hope you guys have fun creating today, and you can post questions in this video thread or whatever. I'll come look at it later. Yeah, and we'll do more. All right, bye.